tomorrow morning, we have a live talk with Senator Rand Paul. He'll be joining us here at KDON tomorrow. GOP presidential candidate Rand Paul joining us tomorrow. And after the interview tomorrow, I have a hunch it'll be posted on my website, alanstock.com, which, by the way, was created by Kevin Richards and Ventura Web Design, which is a lead-in to say, Kevin, good morning. Welcome to KDON.
Hey, good morning. Yeah, that's a pretty big interview you got. We'll definitely be posting that for you.
And of course, we have Kevin aboard every Thursday morning to talk about tech news. And I want to get right into it. By the way, if you want to join in, any questions you happen to have, 257-5396 and 702-257-KDWN, call or text. I want to get right into this. First of all, Uber. Because you and I have been going back and forth about Uber.
Yes.
You're a big fan. I was a fan. I still am for the concept, but I want them to operate on the same level playing field. I don't think they are. But then there was a situation where you had one driver who was charged with assault and rape and all that stuff. Anyways, you have an update on that.
Yeah, there's a lot of news in that regard. You know, the driver in Chicago who is charged with sexually assaulting an Uber passenger. We've learned a bit more about it. First of all, we've learned that the charges were completely false, and he spent 4 months behind bars. And in researching it, a big mistake he made, he wasn't being very professional. He actually went back to, it looks like they went back to his place and they spent some time at his place. But then what exonerated him?
Who's they? He and his charge?
That's exactly right. They voluntarily went back to his place instead of doing the trip that they were supposed to.
So they were stupid too.
They were doing something. So they went back to his place, spent some time there, and what exonerated him was his cell phone. And he actually was smart enough. He later said that he felt that something was wrong, and so he made a 9-minute recording of the woman talking to him while he drove her back to her home. So the district attorney's office went through and did what they called verifying and authenticating the recording. And once they'd done that, they went back to the alleged victim, and she did not have any issues with dropping the charges.
So there was false charges on her part.
Exactly. And I think the key thing here is...
Well, I think they ought to go after her for false charges. But
yeah, I think that if you search on Google, there's just as many examples of taxi cab drivers either being attacked by their passengers or attacking their passengers. It's out there.
Taxi drivers attacking their passengers?
You can search on Google. It's out there. I mean, there's examples of every profession. And I agree with you, but I think that what would be more interesting, instead of having more regulation, let's see what can happen with less regulation. And let's have more competition. That's what I'm excited about Uber with.
But I am for the competition. I'm with you totally on that. You know that. I mean,
right.
I like competition. I just feel that, so with less regulation, we are regulating taxis and limousines to a certain degree, and you're suggesting, and others have suggested also, that we should not regulate the Uber folks to the same degree, putting them on a different playing field. It's not a level playing field for both. And I somehow something doesn't strike me as right about that.
Well, but I think we all know that. We all know what we're getting into when we choose to work with Uber or we choose not to work with Uber. And you know that perhaps maybe Uber is less reliable than a company, but Uber is also going to be less expensive than a company.
Okay, so on that level, and bear with me on that level. So we grow bananas here, and they're really great, and you can import them from some part in South America where some may be questionable and may have some disease, but you know what? They're cheaper. And you know what? Let the buyer beware. You can buy those bananas. You can eat them. You can get sick to your stomach. You can go to the doctor or the hospital, but they're cheaper. But let the buyer beware, and let's just have the free market take over. There has to be some regulation when it comes to the safety, welfare, or health of people to a certain degree. Not as far as Obamacare, obviously, but to a certain degree.
Yeah, well, I think what's interesting is that the reason the Uber stuff is making the news is because Uber is so new and there are so few instances of bad things happening that the media is like, oh my gosh, look what's going on. And there's definitely good news out there about Uber. Uber's fighting a very uphill battle, and they're trying to say that one of the benefits of their service is that they can help you find a ride when perhaps you've been out drinking too much in the evenings, and they use data to show that. They say that their app is most active in the wee hours, and that's also when most DUI arrests took place. And up in Seattle, they were able to show a 10% decrease in those DUI arrests. They want to attribute it to Uber. Of course, the police department wants to take credit for that as well.
Uber could operate today in Nevada if they went along with the same regs that govern taxis and limos, and I am 100% for Uber operating every day, all night, all thing, as long as they're operating the same level. Once you get there, you got me. I'm already sold on the idea. Again, I just want it to be a fair competition, that's all.
Well, there's a new one that's coming out. We'll talk about it maybe next week, but there's a new one that's even less regulated, and this one even claims that the drivers aren't even making any profit. They're not making any money. All it is they are facilitating ride sharing. They're not, and the driver still takes in money from the passengers, but the money is supposedly only covering the costs of the actual trip itself. So they're trying to get even further away from regulation and circumvent taxes. So there's a lot of new things. Technology is changing every day.
Well, come on back. Continue our tech news with Kevin Richards. Much more besides Uber going on. There's YouTube. There's Apple Watch. A lot of things happening. Joining me in studio right now, Tech News with Kevin Richards. Kevin being the CEO and founder of Ventura Web Design. By way of disclosure, they created my website, alanstock.com, and did a marvelous job.
Yeah, I've got some upgrades on the way as well.
Yeah, I know that. We're going to talk about that in about 2 weeks. So there's some big things going on with my website, and I'm thrilled about that. Let's talk a little bit about Amazon Prime Now. I understand they're in an expansion mode. Tell me about that.
Well, we all know about Amazon Prime. That's the service where you can get free 2-day shipping. But they also have Amazon Prime Now. And that actually, it only operates in certain cities where they have a lot of a footprint, but you can actually order something and get it there in 2 hours using Amazon Prime Now. And if you need it there in 1 hour, you can pay an upcharge of $7.99 per delivery, and they'll get it there to you. So the news of the day is they're expanding. They're adding a couple more cities. It's now available in Atlanta and Dallas, and that is in addition to Baltimore, Brooklyn, Manhattan, Miami. It's amazing that you can order something.
What about Las Vegas?
Not there yet. We just don't have the demand. I know they have a fulfillment center here, but the demand is not here for that service.
Wow. Okay. So Amazon Prime Now, get it there within a day or two. Pretty soon they'll have Amazon Prime Right Now, which means you can get it the day before. So there you go.
We actually have a video about that.
Let's send it over to YouTube for Kids. What is this all about?
Yeah, you and I talked about this. I mean, this is a great app. This is all the Googlers are getting older. They're getting kids, so they've got to start making their products a little more kid-friendly. And they came out with the YouTube for Kids, and it's neat because it curates what's out there. And, if you allow your kids to be on YouTube...
What does that mean, curates? What does it mean that way?
Curate means they select the content that's on there. They check it. They make sure that it's kid-safe, kid-friendly. And... that was the problem with allowing your kids to be on YouTube. You can let them watch a video about dolphins or whatever, and then before you know it, they're clicking on all the other suggested videos. They're 3 clicks away from who knows what. So Google finally said, no, we're going to invest some money in this. We're going to put together YouTube for Kids. And it's a great product. It's something that I can trust. And a big key about it is that it actually, it costs money to deliver these kind of services. So they clearly are going to be partnering with people who have a good nexus there, who can find a way to support the product. McDonald's is one of those. They have their own channel on YouTube Kids. And the news of the day here is the Center for Digital Democracy is one of the groups complaining to the FTC, saying that the content is blurring the lines between advertising and content. And the complaint is dating back to...
You're talking about the YouTube for Kids.
Yes. And the complaint is using restrictions that were placed on children's entertainment that's back from the 1970s, which addressed the issue with hosts trying to actually sell products during their show. They want to make sure that children aren't being overexposed to commercials during the content. Well, I've never experienced that. I've watched what my children have been exposed to. One of the complaints is that YouTube has the McDonald's channel has a video about how McNuggets are made. I mean, I just don't see how that's blurring the line. It's interesting for the kids. They want to know what they're eating, and I don't see how that's overly commercial. The other thing
it is promoting McNuggets, but on the other hand, you're right. It is informative and lets kids know. When I was in school, elementary school, we would take tours through. I'll never forget. We took a tour once. I was very little through a tuna plant. Where they capture tuna. They processed it and they put it in cans. They had a tuna Star-Kissed or something like that in the Long Beach, San Pedro area, and we took a tour as a class, and we got to watch that. And they weren't So it wasn't so I would go home and say to my mom and dad, "Oh, we got to buy some tuna." I mean, it was because it was an interesting kind. We all ate it, and it's just a
Right. Same thing for me. I went to a Domino's pizza, and we went through and we learned how to make a pizza. And yeah, it's just, I think that this is, you've got a great thing here. It does need to pay for itself. You do need to support the technology that's being put together. The big complaint that they have, I was getting into, is the unboxing videos. Have you heard of those before?
No.
So an unboxing video is when you receive a product, it's been shipped to you, and you videotape yourself opening the box. And, it starts with the brown box on the outside. You're opening it up. You're going through the excitement of opening it up. You pull it out. You look at what the packaging is like. You see how difficult it is to open it up. You see what you need to do to get it all set up and going. And this group that's complaining says, we don't know who owns those videos. We don't know who's behind it. We think it's just a big, huge, way to commercialize what we're putting in front of the kids.
Wait a minute. Who's doing the videotaping?
Well, the whole point of YouTube is anybody can put content out on YouTube, and then the content
when you get the package in the mail and you say you're being videoed, who's videoing? It
could be individual users. It could be companies. Okay. It's a valid point. You don't necessarily know who's truly behind it, but what does it matter? I mean, you're looking at a product, you're checking it out, you're seeing the excitement. I don't see the big deal.
Evil advertising, evil capitalism. It's so bad. I'm sure when I was a kid, we watched TV, and I would go to my parents afterwards and say, "I want you to buy Frosted Flakes." I want. And so what?
I'm a marketer, and I've told my kids very specifically, we're watching commercials, and I've gone through it with, and they can both repeat back to me and say, "Hey, what's the point of that commercial that you're watching right now?" And they can both repeat back to make me want to buy it. And I was like, great, as long as we all understand that.
Wow. How cool. All right. Talk to me about Meerkat.
Meerkat. What do you think a meerkat is?
I don't know. It's a cat with a mirror.
Small furry creature that you
something
find.
Like that, yeah.
No. So in technology, Meerkat this is something you're going to be hearing a lot about.
All right.
It's very unique technology. It could have been very, very much utilized in Ferguson. And so what it does is it allows you, it's built on top of the technology of Twitter, and it's basically live streaming video. You can take your cell phone, you can take live streaming video, upload it to the Twitter servers, and then Twitter will rebroadcast that for you to whoever wants to subscribe to you and your video that you're broadcasting at that moment. So anybody can do a live national broadcast.
Well, how long do these last? Is each one?
It's as much as you want to do. I mean, you
could do 15 minutes. You could do an hour.
Yeah, you can. You basically get the app on your phone. You hook up through Twitter, and you choose to upload video. And as soon as you're uploading video, your followers can be watching what you're seeing. It's a live video. They're doing this with drones as well. You can send a drone up in the air, and it can be then broadcasting live as well. I mean, that is going to really change news and the way we consume media.
Wow. So you'll see what's happening as it's happening, theoretically.
I think we ought to have a meerkat in the studio here. I don't know about you.
A meerkat in the studio? Be interesting. I'll have to talk to the powers that be about something like that. Talk to me about Apple Watch, because I know they're coming out with something pretty soon.
There's some big news, yeah.
What's that?
So the pre-orders start tomorrow, 12:01 a.m., April 10th. And what's different about this is you will not see the long lines at Apple this time around. Now, that's not because nobody wants the product. It's because Apple has specifically chosen to not have those camp out 3 days in advance situations. They've realized that it's not a good experience. It's not good for your customers to come in and then have no product on the shelves after waiting in line for 4, 5, 10 hours. So they're requiring that you pre-order the product online. Now, if you want to do a fitting, you also need to sign up for that online. You cannot just walk into the store and expect that they're going to have the time to walk you over and let you try on the products.
So when you say you sign up online for a fitting, does that mean you sign up for a time to go down to the store to try it in?
Yes. Yeah,
but it would be at the store.
Yes, it is at the store. And what they're really pushing, this is a change in Apple's selling strategy. They are basically making it a requirement that you shop online.
All right, so a lot of interesting news today. I got to check out the Center for Digital Democracy and see where they're coming from. But Kevin Richards, you want to find out more about Ventura Web Design? Go to alanstock.com on the right-hand side of the page. You'll see the Ventura Web Design logo, and click onto that, and you'll be in touch with Kevin and all the good people at Ventura Web Design. I appreciate your coming in. We'll do it again next week.
Absolutely. See you then. Absolutely. See you then. Absolutely.